Have you ever looked at your bank account right after you got paid, seen the number, and just felt kind of confused? I mean, you heard the tax brackets were adjusted, maybe even got a raise, so there should be more money in your pocket, right? But it's just not there. Okay, let's dive into this because we're going to solve that exact mystery. This is the big question, isn't it? You're doing everything right on paper. You're working hard, you're earning more, but it feels like you're just treading water, or worse, that you're actually falling behind. And I'm here to tell you that's not just a feeling, it's a real thing. And it's caused by a few different forces all working against your wallet at the exact same time. So think of this as our own little financial audit. We're not just going to talk about the problem, we're going to diagnose exactly where things are going wrong. We'll start by uncovering an invisible force that quietly eats away at your spending power. Then we'll look at a very direct deduction that's pulling money straight from your paycheck. And finally, we'll expose a hidden trap that so many people fall into right when they think they've found the solution. Okay, let's start with layer 1, the invisible erosion. This is the one that works quietly in the background, and it all boils down to something called the inflation gap. Now, in Canada, the tax system has this built-in feature that's supposed to protect you from inflation. You know, when the cost of living goes up, the tax brackets are supposed to adjust so you don't get unfairly bumped into a higher bracket. It's a great idea in theory. But here's the catch. The official inflation rate and the inflation you actually feel every day, well, they can be two totally different things.
And this slide really nails the difference. On the left, you've got official inflation. It includes stuff like TVs and electronics, things that are actually getting cheaper, believe it or not. And those cheaper items pull the official rate down. But look at the right side. That's your real-life inflation. It's the stuff that takes up most of your budget, right? Your rent, groceries, childcare, and those costs are just skyrocketing. So while the government might be adjusting your taxes for, say, a 2% inflation rate, your personal real-world inflation rate might be way, way higher.
And this just perfectly sums up how that feels. It's like you're on a treadmill. The speed slowly cranks up, and at first you just walk a little faster. But pretty soon you're breathing harder. You're putting in more and more effort just to stay in the exact same spot. You're not actually moving forward. You're just trying desperately not to fall off the back. That's the inflation gap in a nutshell. Okay, so that's the invisible part. Now let's move on to layer 2, the direct hit. This one isn't abstract at all. In fact, it shows up as a clear line item right on your pay stub, and it's what we're calling the CPP2 squeeze. All right, let's get into some real numbers here because this is important. We're talking about the Canada Pension Plan, or CPP. For 2026, the first number you really need to know is $74,600. This is what's called the first earnings ceiling. Just think of it as the first major checkpoint for your pension contributions. But now there's a second, higher ceiling at $85,000. It's got a super complicated name, the year's additional maximum pensionable earnings, or YAMPE, but don't worry about that. All you need to know is that it's a new, higher threshold for CPP contributions. And that gap, the space between those two numbers, that's where the squeeze really happens. This chart makes it super clear. Look at that top row. For every dollar you earn up to that first ceiling, the $74,600 one, you contribute the standard 5.95% to CPP. That's normal. But now, check out the second row. For the income you earn in that brand new zone between $74,600 and $85,000, you now have to pay an additional 4%. That's the new CPP2 contribution, and it's a direct hit to your take-home pay. For years, a lot of us got used to that little boost in our take-home pay toward the end of the year, right? Once you maxed out your CPP contributions, that deduction would just stop and your last few paychecks felt bigger. But with this new CPP2 layer, that year-end relief gets delayed, it gets smaller, or for some people, it's just gone entirely. It's like a new vacuum turns on, just sucking up more of your cash flow. Now, to be fair, the whole point of this enhanced CPP is to give you bigger retirement benefits way down the road, and that's great. But you're not living 20 years from now. You're living inside this month's budget. You have to pay your mortgage this month, buy groceries this month. So while the system is sold as this future safety net, it really feels like a present-day cash squeeze. And you know what? Both of those things can be true at the same time. All this pressure, it naturally leads us to layer 3, the flawed fix. When your cash flow gets this tight, you start looking for answers. And for a lot of people, the first thing they think of is the RRSP. And the thinking kind of goes like this. Okay, If I'm losing more money to deductions, I'll just put more into my RRSP to lower my taxable income and get a big, fat refund. I mean, on paper, it sounds like the perfect countermove. It's the logical answer, right? Well, no. For some people, yes, it's an amazing tool. But for others, thinking the RRSP is some automatic silver bullet, that's a trap. See, the right question isn't, is the RRSP good? It's, is the RRSP right for my specific financial situation right here, right now? And this leads us to the final twist in our little audit. And honestly, it's the most important one because this is where most people lose the game right when they think they're winning. It's called the reinvestment trap. So here's exactly what happens. You make your RRSP contribution, you file your taxes, and boom, you get a nice tax refund. And what does your brain immediately do? It treats that money like a reward, right? Like a bonus the government just gave you. So you book a vacation or you buy that new gadget you've been eyeing, you spend it. But that money, that wasn't a bonus. It was a critical piece of your entire long-term strategy. This is exactly what the incomplete strategy looks like. You do the first two steps perfectly. You make the contribution, you get the refund. But then, by spending it on a vacation or whatever, you completely break the cycle. You've basically started the engine of this powerful financial vehicle, but then you forgot to put the fuel in that was supposed to keep it running for the next 20 years. Now, this is the right move. You have to complete the circle. When that tax refund check lands in your account, it needs to be put right back to work. And where it goes next is almost as important as the original contribution. You could move it into a TFSA for tax-free growth. You could use it to hammer down some high-interest debt, which is like getting a guaranteed investment return. The point is, you reinvest it. You don't spend it. Okay, so let's step back and look at our new financial X-ray. Now that we have all the pieces, we can finally answer that original question. Why does your paycheck feel smaller, even after you got a raise? So it all comes down to this four-part squeeze. First, you've got the inflation gap, which is silently eating away at your purchasing power. Second, the CPP2 squeeze is taking a new, very direct bite out of your paycheck. Third, all this financial pressure just makes it harder to make good long-term decisions. And finally, the reinvestment trap can turn your best attempt at a solution into a huge missed opportunity. But here's the good news. Just by understanding these layers, you are way ahead of the game. Because now you can actually read the system instead of just feeling its effects. You can spot the deductions on your pay stub and know why they're there. You can make conscious decisions about your savings. And you can see a tax refund not as a reward, but as step 2 of a much bigger strategy. And of course, just a quick reminder that this has all been for educational purposes. For your specific situation, it's always best to talk things over with a licensed professional. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Next time you get paid, grab your pay stub and really look at it. When was the first time you noticed one of those deductions getting bigger, and did you really know why? Well, now you do.